I just want to say a little bit about this particular year. This particular year we have some absolutely fascinating panels, and I think many of you are here in part because of our opening keynote, Deanna Fay. I think she's getting mic'd right now. But Deanna and her husband, her family, had, I'm sure you've read about it, had a really terrible thing happen to them when the CEO of AOL talked to his 5,000 employees and mentioned two people, two mothers who were in the AOL family who had had distressed babies that cost over $1 million. And it created a tremendous outpouring when she came forward to talk about what it meant to her and her family to be outed in that way. So she's going to tell us about her experiences and what it means to have that kind of a massive national and international privacy breach about an incredibly sensitive matter that they had never even talked with their friends about. So following her keynote, we have an amazing panel with some of the world's experts on what's going on with employers and their employees' health information. So this panel is called Watching Wellness in the Workplace. And it's kind of a nice follow-on, but this is an important area that's always been of concern to patient privacy rights, because that's actually one of the main complaints we get when people write to us, like, hey, stuff that has to do with their job. Hey, you know, I was applying for a job and they wanted me to sign a release for my medical records. This is at the application stage when they're not allowed to ask. But as you know, we're in a crazy economy and people really need jobs. And so they're over a barrel if they say no. But the concerns about privacy in the workplace are I really first heard about them when I opened my practice. I'm a practicing physician, some of you know, a psychiatrist and psychoanalyst in the late 70s. And literally the first week I had my shingle out, people came to me and they said, if I pay you cash, will you keep my records private? This is the paper age. Paper age. I didn't learn this in medical school or residency. But what happened essentially was, if they had seen someone like me, a mental health professional, their bosses found out and consequences happened. You know, a lot of people are frightened of any type of mental health or addiction diagnosis, and you know, they had problems with their jobs. And of course, that's the paper age, where your records were in a handful of places, which you could name, which doctor's offices, an occasional hospital, maybe an emergency room, but you knew where your records were and you controlled them. They didn't go anywhere without your consent to move them. And now we're in the digital age and the information is everywhere. And that's why the title of this year's summit is Health Information in the Age of Surveillance. We've learned so much from Edward Snowden, but we still don't know much about where our health data is. We don't know that. And in past years, well, actually, Jordan Robertson's here. Was it 2 years ago when you and Latanya had a session on the data map? I think it was 2 years ago. So Jordan Robertson is with Bloomberg News. He's moderating the wellness panel. And Latanya and I are still trying to get funding to build out a data map for where the health information of Americans flows. I think our latest application is to DARPA. Hey, well, if you think about it, really, personal information about the minds and the bodies of our military leaders and our military personnel and their families, doesn't that seem like that would be a national security risk for it to be everywhere? It does to me. Anyway, so we have some, as I said, we have some amazing panels. We're very honored this year to have Professor Masao Horibe from Japan, the father of privacy in Japan, and he's going to talk about what they're doing over there and how it relates to what we do here. We have some amazing breakout sessions, I'm sure you know, on cutting-edge issues. The Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute is going to talk about their work They're trying to find ways to do research with large numbers of people and not yet being able to reach individuals for consent. And then we're really looking forward to the keynote by Sandy Pentland, computer scientist from MIT. Mark Rothstein is here. He put together a fabulous panel on recent developments in genetics. It has, of course, a number of stars on his panel. All these are names you'll recognize, and I hope you'll talk to these people. We have a great panel on student privacy, and that's of great interest to us too, because what's in student records besides grades? Well, it's a lot of health information, and it's not even as carefully regulated. That was a joke. As HIPAA, the protections are even less than in HIPAA. So then there's a great panel on the latest in data breaches, and I think this afternoon's plenary on intimate wearables and big data is going to be fascinating. There are great people. This panel's led by Debbie Bucci. She's the lead architect for ONC, and it's about the kind of things that we really want to happen with our health data. We want our Fitbit and our cardiac defibrillator to be able to be tied into our electronic health records and for our doctors to find. That's the kind of thing that we want to happen, but it's not happening. That's not what's happening with our data. So they're going to be talking about the state of that, and then we're going to close today with a conversation with Jocelyn Samuels, the new director of the Office of Civil Rights, and she's going to be interviewed by Shahid Shah. You might remember him from last year. So, and then tonight, you better come to the party, Celebration of Privacy. It's going to be from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Hyatt, and I think you all have been there before. It's incredibly moving. A member of the Brandeis family comes and talks about Louis D. Brandeis, and well, you'll see. It's not your usual awards ceremony. This one is full of feeling and full of meaning. I mean, think about it. Professor Haribe is the advisor to essentially their Congress, the Diet. We invited him for a whole week so that he could, kind of recover from the trip, be able to talk. But they could only spare him 2 days, so he came in yesterday. He's leaving Thursday. But this was so important to him, to be able to talk about this and to receive this award. It's just going to be really, really special. So